What's up everyone, my name is Sal Sincata. Today we are gonna do some photo shoots in studio, but we're gonna talk about creating studio portraits that stand out. Get your pen and paper, take some notes, make some diagrams, do whatever you gotta do, but we're gonna have a great time here today. Quick and easy studio setup. I think personally that's very important when you're working on your photography, especially if you're just getting started out. Not everything has to be advanced. You know, I've done lighting setups where I've had 9, 10, 11, 12 lights and it looks good. But it can be quite complicated. And so today we are gonna get as crazy as 3 lights. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna start with natural light and build progressively. Every time I teach, I get a lot of positive feedback on that, so I hope you'll enjoy that. In kind of watching me build a look to, you know, create something that just looks a little bit different and just understanding how lighting works. We'll go over some quick gear check before we get started. Questions, you should see a comment section there. My team is in the comments, so as I'm going, if you're questioning what I'm doing or why I'm doing it, ask in the chat. My team will answer them or get those questions out to me as we're going, right? I like interaction. Let's keep this moving for you. Let's talk about equipment real fast. Photography-wise, I am tethered. I'm using Canon EOS R5. I haven't moved to the 2 yet, R5 II. It's sitting in my house. I just haven't started using it yet. So I need to break that out and start using that bad boy. 2870. Is on camera, and so I'm gonna use this for the whole shoot just because it's easy while I'm tethered to work with one lens. I will say that if I were working in a normal portrait environment, I'd probably be between the 2870 for full body stuff and an 85mm for the tighter portraits. But while we're working today, just from a demonstration purpose, I'm not gonna do that. I'm just gonna stick with one lens. I highly recommend you get your hands on a light meter. This is the Sekonic. I always tease because the name is somewhat complicated, but it's the Lightmaster Pro, but it's their L478DR-U, just for those of you keeping track at home. It's a light meter. So we'll use that to get our lighting dialed in, and it's not as complicated as you would think. I know a lot of times I'm working with photographers when I'm teaching or doing a workshop. I watch them kind of do it, you know, kind of by eye and work their way through it, which is fine. You can do that sometimes, but man, when you have a light meter, you're getting dialed in to the exact way you want it to look. We're gonna start with Westcott. We're gonna be using the FJ400 off camera, I should say, for the studio. They're battery operated. Backdrop is from Intuition Backgrounds. You'll see what that looks like. This is the Michelangelo, and we'll do that. But without further ado, let's just get started because I always get in trouble for going too long on webinars. Of course, the beautiful Alana behind me, the real talent on set. And let's do this where we just start with a natural light portrait. So on camera, I'm gonna be aperture priority, and let's just go shoot this at f4, right? Just so we have some face and skin detail. And look, the takeaway I want you to have from this is, of course, we've got beautiful natural light coming in through the windows. It's a great way to shoot, but your images will tend to look average, right? And I'm not throwing shade at natural light photographers at all. I shoot natural light from time to time. It's a look, but if you really want your work to stand out, you've got to start finding a way to get creative with lighting and not let lighting intimidate you, right? So I don't know how many of you kind of just feel intimidated when you get going with lights, or maybe you feel comfortable with one light, but when you start adding a second or a third light, you're like, fuck. Right? So we'll work through all that. But let's just take this natural light portrait here. And so here we are, f4, 1/60th of a second. Perfect. And let me shoot through a few of these. Here we go. 1, 2. Beautiful. Yep, love that. Love that look. Chin down just a hair. Beautiful. And let me get one more. Perfect, right there. Stunning. Okay. So if we come over here, these are straight out of camera, so nothing's really magical here. It's just straight out of camera. I'm shooting aperture priority, so anytime I'm shooting available light, I work in aperture priority. Whether I'm indoors, outdoors, it's just much faster than setting up in manual mode, right? So if you're a photographer who's on location, always shooting in manual mode, again, well, maybe I am throwing a little shade at you. There is no reason to be in manual mode, right? It doesn't make you a better photographer. It doesn't make you a professional because you're in manual mode. It just makes you slow. Right? And I want you to not be slow. I want you to move faster. And so when I'm shooting available light, why would I want to be in manual mode? Sun's coming in and out, right? Lighting conditions might be changing. If I'm at a wedding, I might be photographing this way, turn this way, it's right, lighting conditions are different. I want the camera and the millions and millions of dollars that Canon has spent on its metering system, let that work for you, right? And if your exposure's off, it's consistently off, right? So if we come back to this is probably a good example. My post-production, how many of you feel like you spend way too much time in post-production, right? So yes, personally, I outsource my post-production to Evolve Edits. I always encourage photographers to do that. You can't do everything yourself, but regardless, they love editing my jobs. Well, at least I think they do. They tell me they do, but maybe they're lying. Because when they get the jobs, it's consistent, the exposure, so it's a little bit easier for them to work. So let me show you what I'm talking about on screen here. So if we go into develop mode, first thing I like to do is if you look at the histogram on the top right, by the way, that is the true tell of exposure. Doesn't matter what your camera screen is showing you on back of camera, it lies to you, right? You might have your brightness all the way up, you might have your brightness down a little bit on the LCD screen. Also, it's an LCD screen, so it's going to lie to you. So if you're in the field and you want to know if your exposure is where it should be, look at the histogram on your camera, right? But now we're in post. We can see this histogram in the top right corner is, look at the shadows are left, right? And the highlights are to the right. Look how much room we have on the right-hand side here for highlights, right? So we haven't overexposed this at all. So we have all the color detail. In Lightroom, I'm not sure if you're aware of this, if you hit your J key, it will show you where you're clipping, right? So if we come down, you'll start seeing things turn blue on screen. That's your J key. So if you J on and off, that'll kind of show you where you're clipping shadow or highlight details. So the point is, according to the histogram, we've got all our detail here. So now, let's just say we go, you know what, she's about a quarter of a stop off. Now we're still within here. If I hit my J key, I've lost no highlights, no shadow. By the way, haven't done any other tonal adjustments. I'm just looking at exposure to drive a point home. So now I can come in here because I'm in aperture priority and I'm off probably a quarter of a stop through all of them shooting in the same direction. Just hit Command Shift S, sync. What am I going to sync? We'll say exposure, synchronize. Now, boom, all my exposure is pretty much dialed in. Now, again, if I had made total adjustments, contrast, color, you get the gist, right? All of that would sync across. But if you are like a lot of photographers who are shooting in manual mode outdoors where lighting conditions are changing, you can't do that, right? Because what's gonna end up happening is exposures, each image is off by a little bit more or a little bit less. So now you've got to go image by image. Oh, this one's plus 2.5. Oh, this one's plus 0.10. This one's 0. This one's minus, right? That drives me nuts. It's a waste of time. So that's why, by the way, I work the way I do. Okay, so beautiful, natural light photography. Right? We're done. We can just keep moving, shoot, blah, blah, blah. There's really not a whole lot of like depth to this image, right? There's natural light fall off on that background, right? That's the Michelangelo background from Intuition. So there's natural fall off. I love the color palette with her skin tone. It's absolutely beautiful, but I do want a little bit more dimension. I want it to look a little more advanced, okay? So what we're gonna do now is I'm gonna add this Westcott Rapid Box. It's an Octa XXL. So it's a really big light source. The larger the light source, the softer it's gonna end up being in the portrait. So this is a pretty sizable softbox here. And then you'll see in here, so we've got inner baffling as well. So it's a silver interior, inner baffling. So it's gonna give us a very diffused look. And I like that for portraits, especially with females, right? I want a softer light. I want nice looking skin. This is the way you get to that with that large light source in close proximity. So we're gonna use this, put it here. Okay, and you're seeing here on camera, we are directional. So I'm not directly over the top of her. I'm off to the side a little bit, but because it's a larger light source, I'm not gonna get hard shadows. It's gonna be a little bit softer. So here's where your light meter comes in. For the record, this is, we're all on one channel. I would highly encourage you to start shooting this way if you do studio portraits. I would assume my advanced shooters, they already know this, but each light that we use today is going to be in a different group. I would be on channel 7, group A, group B, group C. And this will make sense in a second when we start doing this, but group A is going to give me control of the power settings of all the lights in group A. So I don't have to go to each light and adjust them manually. I can do it all from the trigger. So my main light is typically group A, my fill light is group B, and any kicker lights I have is going to be group C, so that I can adjust accordingly. It'll make sense as we go. The main light right now, just know we're on group A. So now light meter's on. I'm setting the light meter up for shutter speed of 200th of a second and ISO 200. And 200th of a second is typically the sync speed of most of your cameras, so that's a good place to be. ISO 200. Let's see what we're getting from an f-stop perspective. So I put it right at her chin. I'm at f4, 4.08. Right? So it moves in tenths. So what I'm gonna do is I wanna be at 5.6 flat. So I'm gonna come up on my trigger here, move it up 0.2 of a stop, right? To add more power. Something to keep in mind, I don't know if this is true or just some shit I made up. When I change power on the trigger, the first flash out, I never feel like is the right power setting. So I like to do a clear and dump it, right? So hit test, dump the power and recycle. Dump it. All right, so the question from Stacy is, how far away is the model from the background? Stand by, we're gonna get you a very scientific answer. 3, 6, 9, we're about 10.5 feet. So 10 feet, 6 inches, maybe. So we're about, call it 11 feet from the background. All right, so now I've dialed in with the meter, I'm at 5.6, and now I'm gonna put my camera into manual mode. Now this makes sense to be in manual mode. I'm in complete control of the lighting. So ISO 200, 5.6, 200th of a second. Now, even though I have the utmost confidence in all the technology here, I'm still gonna take a test shot, right? So let me take that test shot. And by the way, when I take that test shot, I wanna be close to my subject because that's what I care about is the exposure on their face. If I come back here, exposure on her face may or may not be right or wrong, but I wanna be able to zoom in on screen and kind of look at the shadows. So take that shot a little bit closer, chin out and down. Yes, beautiful. Right there, 1, 2. So now, ooh, you gave me a stank face. Take that picture off. We can't have her looking like that. All right, there you go. Much better. Whew, at first I was like, she doesn't want to work with me today. What's interesting here, if you look at this, is look at the color of the background, right? And this goes towards Stacy's question. Because of that 12 feet of space, if we go back to the natural light image, so if we look at these side by side, right, it's pretty much the same focal length, but look at the light hitting the background. Because all that natural light is spilling in, it's pretty close to this. There's probably only a one-stop difference between what's hitting her face and what's hitting the background. But now using strobe, right, and all the other settings on the camera, ISO, shutter, whatever, the lighting on that background has just completely darkened that. Now, obviously, if I move her closer to that background, right, the light fall off. This is inverse square law of light. As she moves further and further away from that background, that fall off, right, is gonna get greater and greater. If I had enough room here, I can move her so far away, it'd be black, right? It would just look like it's a black background. If I move her closer and closer and closer, same light hitting her face is gonna be hitting that backdrop, right? So you have control over this as an artist. You have to understand this when you're in controlled spaces, right? If you're in a small room, you might not need as much light here. I've got 400 watts of power and I'm on 4.6, so plenty of wiggle room in that. So the question is, how would I change my camera settings or light settings if I could only be 3 or 4 feet away from the model? I wouldn't change anything. It's just really what's the look you're going for. Or even if she can only be 3 or 4 feet away from the background, I don't know that I would change anything. I know that if I put her 3 feet from that background, there's going to be a lot of light hitting that background. If I want no light hitting that background, well, f it. We're doing a webinar, let's do it. So the question is, am I feathering the light? On that particular shot, the light was not feathered, but we're gonna try that now. I'm completely off script, so this is par for the course around here. So we're gonna take 2 shots. We're gonna have her right off that background, right? And this light is, directionally speaking, is 45, right? So it's right there off camera. So we're gonna take 2 shots. I'm gonna put the light right here. We're gonna see what that looks like on that background. And then we're gonna put the light off to the side and we're gonna get some of that light off the background. Now, we can flag the light. There's a lot of other things we can do if we're in a small space and wanna get creative. But let's just take this shot. Now, exposure might be off, but let's see. Let's just take this shot. I'm gonna try and take this. Here we go, beautiful, 1, 2, okay? Yeah, it's not bad, right? It's not good, but it's not bad. I've seen better. The problem is when you do that, you lose that kind of feel of depth, right? Because everything looks flat. I mean, it almost looks like a passport photo. So now let's go here, and now I am really feathering this, okay? So to give you perspective, this light now is, she's here, right? This light is here, so it's right off at a 90 degree, but it is not firing straight at her. It's firing this way. So it's actually firing across her. Again, no idea what it's gonna look like. I think it's gonna be soft. Let's see what that gives us. Giving soft. So you can see now, not quite Rembrandt light, but you can see now how we can be in a really small space and do some really cool shit, right? I love this, right? I love that the question came in. I love that we can work pretty dynamically and it's not gonna screw up what I'm trying to do here or teach you. It's just driving that point home. We are literally one light, right? This is what should get you excited. One light, and we have 3 different looks. So there's no reason for you to go, oh, I'm so intimidated by different lighting and all these things, and I have to have this convoluted lighting set up. We're gonna add to this, we're gonna build on this, don't get me wrong, but if you're just getting started, buy a kit, right? Get something that you think is gonna last you, whether it's an FJ400 or a 200. If you're in a smaller space, you don't even need a 400 watt light, right? Don't get tricked into like, bigger is better. You can go with an FJ200 and you're gonna have more than enough power for this type of setting, absolutely. But this is pretty cool. What do you think, Alyssa?
I like top right.
Top right? With her against the wall? Lana, come up here. You like the top left?
Which one do you like?
I like the bottom one.
Okay, we're all different things.
Yeah, that's the last one I took. That's the one where that light is camera right. I really like that one.
Actually, I might agree with Alyssa. That one is pretty. Maybe it's just the face I was making.
I like more even light. I'm not a huge fan of directional light.
You don't like directional light, but she can pull it off. All right, I've been overruled by the women. By the way, only man here. Pray for me. What do you guys think? Which one do you like? It kind of jumps out at you. But the important part to take away is it's one light and we can do a lot of cool things. I've watched a lot of photographers when they're working in their environment, they'll take a shot, they love it, and then they're adding another light, they're adding, another this. Like we just stuck with one light, just moved it around, moved her around, and we were able to get a couple of different looks. So again, translate that into high school seniors, translate that into boudoir photography, translate that into headshots, right? So now you can get different looks for your headshot clients, because everybody thinks that headshot clients just wants this beautiful, perfect lighting, and they do. You got to take that. But I promise you, if you start giving them something that has a little bit more atmosphere to it, a little bit more depth to it, they're going to spend a little bit more money with you because it'll look different. So let's get back to the show. So I'm going to have you on your mark. Yeah. All right. So this is also, again, important. So I'm going to shoot through this. Let me take a few shots of you just with this one light. Lana, here we go. Let me go a little bit higher with this. So I'm gonna take a few shots and kind of work through it with her, but again, the mistake people make is they just move that light back, start shooting. I think it's a huge miss, because what's gonna end up happening is you are not gonna have, your lighting is not, I promise you, it's not gonna be the same as it just was. So let me get dialed back in here, right? I move the light up, I move the light down. So test again, 409. Close enough, but I really want this to be as exact as possible. So I'm just gonna trigger this up, 409, move this up a tenth on here, 5.6 flat. My wife likes to remind me, she said it's 225 and you've only gotten through one light. All right, here we go. So now let me just shoot through this, take some frames. So I'm gonna mix up between full body and mid body. Here we go, 1, 2, and you do your thing. Gorgeous, right there. Love that. Let me get you, I wanna get you looking up at that light. Yeah, so whatever pose you give me, but your face is there, but your eyes need to probably be like down here or like right on this edge. These are your favorite? You don't even know yet. Chin down, just a hair. New favorites?
Good.
Give me your eyes. Ooh, right there, stay there. Keep that pose, chin down. More, chin left, just a hair. Right there, beautiful. 1, 2, gorgeous. One more. Bring your chin more, stay in that pose, it looks good. Chin more left, yeah, and let your eyes go left. Follow your nose. Bring them back right, yeah. Right there, right there, right there. Sneak me a peek, give me your eyes. Chin down. Perfect. Okay, so now, right, we've gotten all those setups. Which one was your favorite, Alyssa?
I like the mid-portrait right there.
Oh, that's killer. Killer, killer, killer. That's gonna edit real nice. Ooh, these are, ooh. Oh, I don't know, I like that one. Yeah, she can pull it off. Okay, so that's one light, super cool. Hopefully you like it. Let's do something a little different here. Now we're gonna stay with one light, but I'm just gonna rotate this light now over her. So I'm directly over her, firing down, and it's probably firing more over the top of her head than it is directly down at the ground, just to give you perspective. But now what I'm gonna do is put in this eyelighter from Westcott. This is a favorite tool of mine, and I'm putting this right at her waist. And what I like to have clients do is they can reach with their hands and grab onto this, right? And then that's opening up her shoulders to camera. It just depends on what type of shot I'm taking. Obviously, if I want to see her hands, I don't want them touching the backdrop. But it's really important to understand that as we are doing this, once again, lighting has changed, but I hope you're not intimidated by like using a light meter and you're seeing really how easy it is. I just got to come in here, right? Same light, but now I've moved it. So I'm putting this at her chin, 5, 6, 3, right? So I'm going to come down now, 3/10 of a stop on the light, remeter, and now I'm back to 5, 6. So this becomes really important if you want to have consistent exposure. And come on, what did that take me? I mean, that's less than 5 seconds to do that. So now watch how different this shot looks on her. So I'm still manual mode, ISO 200, 200th of a second, f5.6. So now watch how different this portrait is going to look of her. Here we go, 1, 2. So now, right, we're getting a completely different look, of course, than we had with this and with this. So you're seeing how, don't get me wrong, right? What am I, 1 or 2? Natural light, great job. We get into 1 light, just a little bit off camera, nice big octabox, gorgeous directional light. You add that eyelighter. I didn't add a secondary light. It's a silver eyelighter from Westcott. And look how that's filling up into her eyes and filling under her chin. So if we just look at these 2 images, you'll see more. Maybe you see it right out of the gate. Let me show you this, right? So if you zoom in here, you can see all the shadowing under her chin, which is fine. That's a look, right? To create some depth in there. But if we come here, look how much that has lifted all those shadows underneath without having to add another light, without having to get measured in. That setup is like an all-time favorite for me for headshots. Absolutely love it. I also love what ends up happening in the eyes. Look at the catch lights in her eyes. You're not gonna get that with just 1 light up high. So now you're getting this natural kind of like, and when I edit this, bottom of her eyes are just gonna pop off the frame, and they're doing it naturally. Like I'm literally showing you straight out of camera. So this hasn't even had a chance to be enhanced or cleaned up. Once you start doing that, your images are just gonna have a completely unique look. Again, this is the eyelighter, and it is a tool I have personally used for years. So let me shoot a little bit more with this setup, but obviously I'm limited. I can't go full body here. So this might be one where we just get it, we're getting in tight, we're playing with, all that kind of stuff. Right now, of course, I've got this pole right in the middle. I can cheat to one side or the other. I tend to keep it here. I don't know why. Maybe I just like making my life difficult. And then I reach around the pole and do this. Yes, beautiful. Give me your eyes. Yep. Chin down. Love that. I'm going to go vertical. Love that. Love that. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Keep working through it. That's perfect. I love that one. Right. So now you're seeing it's a cool setup. So now we're going to add a second light, finally, to the mix. Any questions while I'm setting this up? So they liked what I liked? Yeah. Thank you, America. Thank you. America. Thank you. Let's get serious. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to add 2 lights in here. One is in the same position-ish as that directional first light, right? But remember, we had shadows on the other side of her face. So now what I want to do is keep this light. So this is going to be on group A, the main light, but I got a kicker light here, well, a fill light, I'm sorry, in group B. And typically, I like a 1-stop difference. So what we're gonna do, I'm gonna fill with this. So that's at 4-4, the main light. So I'm gonna just start with this one, the fill light, on 3-4. It might not end up being in the right spot, but that's where we're gonna start, okay? So I'm just on my camera, moving that down to 3-4. And the reason, even though it's a stop less of power, that it might not work, is because the light source is larger. They're larger than each other. So it's not apples to apples. You can't just say, well, I have the same 2 powered lights, 400 watts. If I make them 1 stop different, that will be the result on my subject. It won't work that way. Now, the other thing you can do with this is you can put one of the lights to sleep. So you're not firing both at the same time. Back in the day, depending on how long you've been doing photography, you'd have to go either flip the light to fire a different direction or turn it off, turn one on, turn it off, right? So now you just use the trigger and I can turn off light B or A and put it to sleep. So now only the main light will fire. Okay, so this light is still 5-6. This one is sleeping. So now I'm gonna put A to sleep and we're gonna wake up B, right? And measure this. I want this to be at about 4.0. So it's at 2.84. So I'm about 0.6 of a stop off. So I'm gonna move this up. 289, so I got to move it up one more time, and we're at 4.0 flat. So now there's a one stop difference between my main and my fill, and now I can move forward and shoot. So that one took a little bit longer, right? Maybe we're at 15 seconds. All right, here we go. Test shot. My main light's still asleep. Okay, didn't fire. Yeah, it's super dark. Here we go. Test shot 1, 2. Okay, so now what you're seeing is the additive nature of light. Okay, so now you start realizing that even though there's a one stop ratio difference between the two, now they're adding up. So now I'm gonna push my camera to f8, test shot 1, 2, right? Now we're underexposed. So I'm gonna take a meter reading. If I had to guess, let's see if I'm right, additively, it's adding a half stop of light. So that would put me at what, like 6.3-ish? So let's see if I get out of the way and measure both lights hitting her, and I'm at 5.63. Right? So not quite a half stop. It's an extra third of a stop when they're added up. So to counteract that, I'm just gonna go to 6.3, take this shot. We should be dialed in, 1, 2. I think that looks good. Voila. You have to understand that light is additive in nature. Okay, so if you take one light, 5.6, take another light, 5.6, I promise you when those two lights hit her, she's not at 5.6, right? But if you're trying to get ratios dialed in of light, which is what I want, so let's say I wanted a 2-stop difference. So my main might be at 5.6 and then the other one might be at 2.8, okay? Because that'll give me more shadows. We'll save that for another video talking about ratios. But if I wanted a 1-stop ratio difference or a 2-stop difference, what ends up happening is you get the ratio of your lights right, but the problem is now 2 lights are hitting your subject and it's going to be additive in nature. So what I ended up doing, my way of working through it is dialed in the first light, 5.6, perfect. Dialed in the second light, right? What did we go with? 4.0, perfect. I've got a 1-stop difference between those 2 lights. But now when I meter in and both lights are on, it's getting fired at 5.63. And so that was the adjustment I made. And you're seeing that on the image on screen. It's not 5.6, it's not 8, which would be the next full stop, right? It's 6.3, right? So it's like a third of a stop extra from adding power. Does that make sense? All right, let's shoot a few of these frames, okay? I'm waist high right now, 1, 2. You do your thing. Let's do one. Remember we were messing around with the collar? Love that right there. Hold that for me. I'm gonna shoot through this a couple of times. So now I love this pose on her, but now I'm gonna get really close. Stay there, don't move, chin down. And this is why I like this 2870, because now I can change, I can get really close here. 1, 2, beautiful. So now I can get really close and get some killer stuff. Okay, let's look at a few of these. Love that right there.
You know what was my favorite still?
Which one?
The very first frame you took with her was the eyelighter.
Oh, the eyelighter first frame?
Yeah.
Oh, that one?
Yeah.
You like that one of you?
Yeah, that one was pretty. That one's cool too.
This one?
Yeah. Ooh, yeah.
Yeah.
These are all with the eyelighter. That was a mistake. Let's delete that. So these are the fill lights. And you could see it in her eyes. You could see the catch lights there, just giving her unique catch lights. And again, these will all look good when we're editing. Okay, so now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add an edge light, kicker light, hair light, but we don't have to have a 400-watt light. So we're just using the FJ82's 80 version 2. This would be on group 3, right? Or group, I'm sorry, Charlie. And what the power needs to be, don't know. So I'm gonna zoom this in. This has the ability so that the light is coming out super wide to a little more narrow and focused beam. So I'm using that, we're focusing that beam a little bit more, and we're in group C. So this one I'm gonna put, I always, again, don't know if it's right, wrong, or indifferent, but the way I like to do this is it's always opposite the key light, right? So your main light, your key light, I like to have this hair light opposite that, go up high. And we're gonna do 2 things with this little FJ80 to make this, I think, really cool. So I wanna get a little creative here. So if you look at this light on her, it's pretty even, right? We already know there's a 1-stop difference, but it's still pretty even, okay? What I wanna do is maybe get a 2-stop difference here, right? So when we fired this before, this was 5.6, this was 4.0. I'm now gonna drop this down to 2.8. So again, I'm gonna put the main light to sleep, and I wanna get this guy at 2.8. So let me drop this down. I'm gonna drop it down a full stop, and it should get me right to 2.8. Let's see, I'm at 2.86, 2.84. We're really going down low on this. 2.82, okay, 2.8. So now there's a 2-stop difference. I'm gonna take this shot just so you can see the difference now. Here we go. So now, this is what happens. I didn't clear the power, right? I didn't hit cycle through it for a test, and that was my first shot. The exposure is all jacked up after that. I don't know why, just what it is. That's why you gotta clear that first shot. I just want you guys to know, I didn't change my settings between these two shots. That was the light cycling through. You can see the settings in the left-hand corner. Nothing has changed. That was just the light clearing through after you've changed your settings. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Now you're seeing it's a little bit more dimensional, right? Okay. That's what we want. So now let's get the edge light on. Let's take a test shot with that. Here we go, 1, 2.
I don't think anything did yet.
Hold on. Swear to God, guys, I do this for a living. So now you're seeing a little bit of separation in her hair, which is what we want, right? She's got black hair, dark brown hair. If you have a dark background or the background's even far away, there's not going to be any separation. You don't see hair detail, right? These are the kind of things that start making portraits look better and better. So let me take a few frames of this. Again, if you have questions, let me know. So I'm going to do vertical on you. And so let's work waist up for this. There we go. Love this on you. Beautiful. 1, 2. There you go. That is killer. Right there, hold that expression. Stunning. 1, 2. I love that. So Alyssa's asking me if that edge light sneaking across is bothering me. Yeah, a little bit, mostly because it wouldn't bother me if I weren't seeing these kinds of shadows. Let me show you what I mean if I zoom out here. So, right, you've got to be conscious of this because this is one of those things where it's like, yeah, man, you're not fixing this in post. So you see what's happening here? Just because of the type of hair she has, the light's leaking through, but it doesn't look like a lighting pattern. You're just seeing it kind of peek through her hair. It's almost like, you know, sunlight coming through a tree outside, right? And you get that kind of dappled light. This one around her eye doesn't bother me too much, but this one does, right? So I have to be conscious of that. So how do we do that, right? I'm not moving the light. Well, I can slide this light a little bit more behind her, crescent shape, right? Can they see me on camera? So you can come straight across or crescent, like crescent moon, right? So you would come across. So I'm still keeping the same distance, but I'm coming just around the edge. I don't necessarily want that light showing up in camera. Yeah, sure, I can edit it out in post, but it's just not the look I want in this moment. So, and then I'm gonna tell her, hey, be careful, don't cheat your face this way. So I want that shot again. That was killer of you. Yeah, right there. Let's see what this is gonna look like. 1, 2. Yeah, and I think that's much better. Here we go. 1, 2. A little more playful with it. There you go. Beautiful. Chin out and down. Beautiful. 1, 2. See, now you're starting to get a little flare in that left-hand corner. Let me move this for you, which I do like. Can't really see it. It's very subtle. So now, right, what I love to do is I've always got gels and gaff tape just kind of laying around. Now this gel is from, picked this up at B&H, and I think they come in 1 foot by 1 foot squares, I think. Not very expensive. I mean, you're buying a pack of these, almost every color imaginable. And then I cut them into 4s, right? So I quarter them, every color imaginable, okay? And some have gotten more use than others, but they're just sitting there, and some gaff tape in your bag, and you can really do whatever you want to do. So let's do blue. Since she's wearing blue, background has blue, let's see what that looks like. Could suck, we'll do something different. Roman wants to know if I metered in the hair light. I did not. I went on look and feel for that, which, you know, just it's up to you. So here's why I don't meter it in. Wow. This might be the worst gaff tape ever made. The reason I didn't meter that is that one was a little bit of a feel. Because I really don't care what the ratio is in that particular shot. I care if her hair is popping or separating. That's what I care about. Let's just say exposure of that light is, I don't know, f4, right? And you go, hey, your main light's at 5.6, your hair light's gonna be f4. That's cool, so now you got a one-stop difference, but somebody with blonde hair, it's gonna look completely different than somebody with jet black hair, right? And then, depending on the background, how bright the background is, how dark the background is, that kind of stuff, separation, you need to feel, that to me is more of a feel light. All right, we're gonna put blue gel on this light. Now, because there's a gel on it, that's gonna wash out some of the power. Not much, you know, maybe a quarter stop. But what we're gonna do here is we're gonna take a test shot, right? Now, I will tell you, for this, I do want it to peek into camera just a little. This is my thing. I've been doing it for, I don't know. I'm not saying it's my thing like anybody who does it has stolen it from me or something. I'm saying it's just a look I like. That I've been messing around with for, you know, just maybe about 1.5 years now, something like that. You stole it from me, my wife stole it from me, so there you go. All right, here we go. It's yours now? Perfect. So now, that's pretty cool. It's going to give us a little bit of blue edge, but you're not seeing it as much, right? Because it's a darker color. So we have to now turn that light up. So I'm going to start just by turning this up 2 stops on that hair light, which is the FJ80. See what we're looking at here. One more test. And I'm trying in camera as I'm framing this up to put that light just in the left edge of my frame. Test shot. Yeah, I like the way that looks. Now we're gonna perfect this, her hands, so look at me. See your hands here? Yeah. I don't want, it makes your hands look ginormous when you give me the back of your hands. Yeah. So always, boom, break them. Even if you come down in here, just don't give me this, give me this. So, yeah, perfect, good. Let's nail those 2 shots. I love this little blue light, right? Keep in mind what we just did. It's a piece of gel that is probably, I think I bought an entire kit from B&H and cut them into quarters. You can go to B&H's website. It's probably it's $50 or less. Gotta be, for a whole bunch of different colors. Cut them into 4s, some gaff tape, and I'm not using a 400 watt per second light. I am using an 80 watt per second hair light that we're doing some really cool stuff with, right? And I think this just gives you a cool look. If she were on a red background or had a red outfit on, maybe she's wearing red eye makeup, right? There's all sorts of different ways to accent what you're doing to just create something that's unique for you, right? Don't get in the habit of just always using blue or always using orange. While those are great primary colors to be working with for your work, right? Goes good with skin and all that other stuff. Mix it up, right? So let's rock this out. Here we go. So let me get a few frames. 1, 2, love this. Chin out and down for me. And chin this way, just a dent. Yes, beautiful. 1, 2. Go ahead, you do your thing. I'm gonna shoot through it. Beautiful. Okay, so now I'm gonna get greedy. Now I'm gonna switch this up and we're gonna put warm gel on it because she does have gold tones. I don't know if you can see it in there. Okay, and I'm gonna go with something a little bit more orange. This is not CTO, right? Color temperature orange. This is not a corrective gel. These are creative gels. So the question is, from earlier, somebody asked, do I ever use V-flats? For the most part, no particular reason. You know, I think you just, as a creative, you get into what you like, what you know, and what you want to work with, and you just kind of go from there. And tied to space, by the way. Here's where I would use it, to be fair, because I don't want to imply there's no point to that. If I were in a typical commercial studio space, cyc wall, everything white, bouncing light all over the frickin' place, right? You better have some V-flats to really control lighting. This is a pretty dark environment. We don't have light bouncing all over the place, so I can control it. It's been very rare in my studio space that I've needed to V-flat or flat out a block light, I should say, or subtract light, right? Because that'd be a really cool way to do it too. But you're typically subtracting that light in an environment where it's bouncing all over the place. So, all right, now I've switched that to orange, okay? And I want to see that warm glow. Here we go, 1, 2. Ooh, that's kind of interesting. Yeah, that's good. Who doesn't love a good orange glow? All right, so let's keep doing that. Let's get a few frames with that. And then I want to do one more thing. Beautiful, 1, 2. Which do you guys like, the blue or the orange? Let me know. Here we go, chin down, out, right there, right there, right there. 1, 2. Trying to hide this light. 1, 2. One more. Let's leave that light there. It kind of looks cool in the frame. And let me get a little bit more full body. Kind of mid. Here we go. I said kind of mid, kind of mid. Because it's a mid shot, but now the kids, using the slang, I would just insulted you by some, yeah. So the question is, what if we add the eyelighter to brighten this? So let's add this. Now, of course, remember, once I add this, I can't take full body, but that's totally fine. It's probably gonna be bright, that very first frame, so I'm gonna cheat this, and I'm gonna change my camera from 5.6 to 6.3, so I'm assuming kind of a third of a stop movement. All right, let me get a test. Here we go, 1, 2. Ooh, that's pretty. Give me, I don't want to lose your hands. Keep that pose, body looks great. Come down, maybe we're doing on the jacket. Yep, but break the wrist. Perfect there, good. Right there, beautiful, 1, 2. So I'm really excited that I had this idea to add the eyelighter to this shot. So hopefully you guys saw the genius in all that coming together just out of the blue. I thought of that. Anyway. Great idea, Chris. Let's do, those do look really good. So that's pretty cool too, right? Yeah, that's your favorite. You guys keep saying that. Every other one is your favorite.
But that one's really good.
You like that one? That's not mid.
No, that's not mid at all.
No cap. Huh? Hey, just because I know the lingo, don't throw shade my way. So now what we can do is take this light And this, to me, what I'm about to show you, this is end of day, just doing something a little bit different. And I'm gonna fire this right into the lens. So I'm gonna have this light right here, just firing into the lens, okay? It's an end of day shot. I've gotten everything I like. I just want a color wash. I want that kind of like Instagram look, but doing it in camera and not doing it with filters. I want to do it naturally. And again, think about this. Everything I'm showing you that we're doing here, you're seeing straight out of camera. Not a single image has been touched yet with color, contrast, right? Any of that stuff. So these look good. These are good foundational images that we'll build on in post-production, where we'll add toning and stylizing to the shot. But something like this, I want to control this in camera. So you know what? Just because I moved that, let me try this. I'm going to turn off B, Bravo light. We're going to put that to sleep. That was the fill light. We're just going to use this one light. No idea what this is going to look like, but it's something I'm going to test. Okay, so I'm here, and I'm firing this right into the lens and just giving it a little bit of an angle across the lens. Okay, here we go. 1, 2. Okay, so a lot of times with this, power has to be amped up. So I'm gonna go to like power of 7 on the light. And then what I'm gonna do is make sure this beam is all the way focused, almost like a flashlight beam. I want it really focused, not wide. Okay, here we go, right there, 1, 2. And now you're seeing it's giving this kind of like orange wash, but it's still not what I want. I really want it firing into the lens. Here we go, chin out and down. That's what I'm looking for. Okay, so just stuff like that, it's different. I've already got what I need. I could do that in a blue. I can do that in a red. Where's the blue? I'll put the blue on there too. It's cool, right? It's just all sorts of things you can do. You can do it with a flash. You can do it with a flashlight, and just really get yourself a unique kind of end of day shot for your client, for your portfolio. Also, the more wide open you are, the better that effect will be. Meaning if I were shooting this at f2, it would look different than if I'm shooting this at f11. All right, so let's get this one last shot. Okay, here we go. Let's see. I've got the light in a little bit of a different spot. Let's see what it gives us here. 1, 2. That's pretty quick killer, man. Chin out and down. Here we go, right there, chin down. Turn your chest this way, just a hair. Chest is perfect, chin back, a little more. Yeah, right there, good. Good, stay there for me. Killer, killer, killer. 1, 2. 1, 2. Close your eyes. Gorgeous, Alana, gorgeous, right there. Last one. Woo, that is awesome. Well, I'm glad I watched that YouTube video this morning on how to be a photographer. Came in handy. Did you have a good time?
Yeah, of course, always.
In the comments, let's give it up for Alana. She rocked it out. Hopefully this was useful to you guys. I don't know if we have any questions. I'll hang around here for a second or two if you do. But think about what we did today. We started with an FJ400, an extra large octabox for a large soft light source, added an eyelighter underneath to get some really killer images, then added a secondary light as fill, right? Which I actually like the octabox and the eyelighter better than adding the fill light. But then we added that edge light, and then we got creative, added some gels, and you're seeing how it's just 1, 2 simple 3 light setup. We can really do some cool stuff for boudoir, seniors, just general studio work. So good times. So Alyssa wants me to show you kind of the first natural light shot in this. And so that's super cool to see what is possible for you as a photographer and as a creative. You don't have to panic. If you've got a client in studio, you just kind of find your rhythm and don't be afraid to experiment. Something I love to say, season to taste. This is you're the chef. You're in the kitchen, you're cooking. You figure out what you like and make it yours. And I think ultimately that's what you're presenting to your clients. That's your portfolio work. Nobody could tell you it's right or wrong. Just do something that you love and you're proud of. So it sounds like we don't have any questions. Thank you everybody for tuning in. Let's give it up for Alana one more time. And we will see you in the next video. Peace out.